Hey, remote students, it's Mr. Scarmack here. And last week I had an assignment that I asked you to do. I asked you to go through and label each machine, what it is. And so I asked you to label the planer, the jointer, the radial saw, and the table saw. And it was a little bit alarming to me, or I guess alarming is probably the word, that there were some of us who didn't know the names of the machines. And I take that personally. And so that's what I'm trying to do with remote students today. And so that's my start, to remind you that this is the planer. Its job is to bring a board to an exact thickness. It does that. If we have a board that's 1 inch thick, we can run it through the planer until it is exactly a half of an inch like we want. This is the table saw down below. It's actually an amazing table saw. If you remember, it has the ability to determine the difference between your finger and a piece of wood. But its main job is to make a board to an exact length and an exact width. It's good, and I'm going to even say great, at cross-cutting it and ripping. This is the radial arm saw. Its job, what it does mostly, is what's called a rough crosscut. If we had a really long board, that's what step number 1 is. If we had a really long board and we needed to cut it to a rough length, and we were going to try to take a really long board and make it to a more manageable size, step number 1 of the 7 steps is a rough crosscut. That's what it does. All of these videos about the table saw, radial saw, joiner, planer, and the 7 steps of milling lumber are still linked, so check them out. And this is the jointer. Its job is to make perfectly flat faces and edges. That's what it does. It is, I'm not going to say it because I don't want to hurt the other machine's feelings, but I'm going to tell you on a whisper, it might be the most important machine in the shop, because without its perfectly flat edges and faces, we can't use the table saw and we can't use the planer. There's a lot of other key terms in here. A chip breaker is exclusive to the planer. Corrugated infeed roll is exclusive to the planer. Overarm, that's why it's called a radial arm saw. The joiner is used for flat joining. The only machine that has a miter gauge is the table saw. Self-adjusting leaf guard is this right here. It's what allows you to adjust the guard as it comes over top of the blade. The elevating hand wheel, I'm going to put it right there. That's the elevating hand wheel. It's what raises and lowers this table. Although the radial arm saw could have anti-kickback fingers, the table saw is the one that has them. It's the one that has them most commonly. Push block is not a push stick. It is a push block. It's used exclusively on the jointer. The 6-inch margin of safety is the margin of safety on the radial arm saw. Fence tilt adjustment is exclusive to the jointer, and fence and table is an exclusive part of the table saw. I'm sorry, it's not exclusive to the table saw. It could be on the jointer, it could be on the radial arm saw, but these have to be 5 apiece. And the radial arm saw is done, and the other ones have 4 or 5 apiece. There we go, I can count. Step 2, 4, and 6 are all even numbers, and every even number is on the jointer. Remember, I told you, it might be the most important machine. And look at how many of the 7 steps. 2, 4, and 6 are all on the jointer. 5 and 7 are all on the table saw. And 3 is on the planer. That's the breakdown of how those terms should have gone. Please, if you aren't certain what machines each machine is, watch my videos, watch an interesting video on YouTube. But if you're trying to be a woodworker, the most important thing we should know is what the machine's names are. Okay, peace out. If you need anything, just let me know, okay? That's what I'm here for. All right, guys, I'll see you soon.